My name is Scott Berry, and Mr. Borch invited me to come speak today about bullying. So the first thing is, before we get going, you guys have had a lot of different seminars and discussions on bullying. What is bullying? Can someone define it for me? Yes, sir.
It's about like teasing other people and taking the information that you know of them and then using that information to harm them.
Okay. Yep. There, that's the big thing, is these two pieces together, okay? Using information, teasing someone, harassing somebody over and over again. Just the teachers, when you were younger and growing up, I want to know, how many of the teachers here have been bullied by a show of hands? Okay? Mr. Torkelson's not listening to me, so. Hey, look at that, he too! Now, just the teachers, one more time, by show of hands, teachers, how many teachers were bullies growing up? Now here's the other question. This is still for the teachers. Now, as you've grown up, how many teachers have continued to experience bullying now as an adult? Okay. And I'm not going to ask about whether you're a bully or not, because the kids otherwise will give you a lot of crap. We don't want to get there, right? All right. Now, for you guys, I want to know how many in this class, how many have you been bullied? Does anybody want to share with me an experience when you were bullied?
Like these people, like it happens often. They like smash me against walls and lockers and push me into corners and like stuff like that. Like this happened at my old school too.
See, that's something, and I think it's not just you that's probably experiencing it. I think there's other people in this class, in this school, that are experiencing it. Yes, ma'am.
When I used to, people always call me names, and every time I did something wrong, they always like tease me and stuff like that for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that doesn't feel good, does it? No, not at all.
When I was little, I was just bullied because I'm like shorter.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people pick on me because of that.
Now, were they teasing, picking on you, or were they mean picking on you?
Me. Like,
yeah.
I understand when people are picking on me, but when I was younger, someone was more mean about it.
And we're going to get a little bit later, we're going to talk why people bully, but I wanted to talk a little bit about that first. I am the father of 5 kids. I have 2 sets of twins. In fact, I'm going to pick up my twins right now because I got two of the twins back here. Jackson, William, can you guys wave? I was a 2-year all-conference football player, both at center and linebacker. I was defensive player of the year for Forest Lake on my senior year. I benched 185 pounds 21 times. I was a lifeguard. I started a swimming lessons class where I taught 350 kids a summer how to swim. This is when I was 16. I played football at the University of Minnesota-Morris. I ran the University of Minnesota-Morris horse barn. I went to law school after I graduated from college. I've been on the chairperson of the Princeton Township Planning Commission, also served on the Princeton Fire Advisory Board. In 2005, I started my own law firm here so I could be the boss. I always complain about my boss, but that's a different story. In 2010, has anybody here ever been to the Princeton Block Party in the summer? Okay.
What? Oh yeah.
I started the Princeton Block Party back in 2010 and continued to organize it since then. I presented to different real estate groups on real estate law, wills and trusts, and all sorts of different types of laws. I coached youth football. Some of the guys in here I've coached football for. And I was elected to the Princeton Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors in 2011. In 2011 also my business was named Business of the Year. I was Volunteer of the Year in 2012. I served as the Princeton Chamber of Commerce President for 2 years. I was appointed to the Board of Directors of the hospital here in Princeton in 2013. You guys know the whole Vote Yes thing that we went through and did for a new school and for new gyms at the high school for you guys in the next couple of years. I was one of the chairs of that. I was selected as the Reader's Choice 2014 Best Attorney in this area, and then I turned 40. Now, I'm not sharing all this to brag. I'm not telling you all my successes to brag. What I want you guys to tell me is based on all the things that I showed you, all the things that I've done up to now, I'm 40 now, You guys tell me, am I a bully? Was I a bully growing up?
No.
Or was I bullied? So, by show of hands, how many people think that I was a bully? Okay, got a couple here. Okay, before you put your hands down, keep your hands up. Why? Someone tell me why they think that. They have their hands up. Yes, sir.
Maybe because you were one of the stronger people and
Okay.
more athletic.
So that just makes me a bully because I'm stronger?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I like it. Yes, sir.
Because you were a football player.
Because football players are all bullies, right?
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, who thinks I was bullied? All right. Can anybody tell me why you think I was bullied?
The whole point of your year is tell us why not to bully people, maybe?
Okay, that's fair enough. Yes, ma'am.
Because usually people who are bullied, they usually when they grow up, they're
That is a. Did you guys hear that? Usually, when people grow up that have been bullied are successful. That's what you said, right?
You learn from being bullied, like how be around people, and then so like.
So you guys hear that? When you're bullied, you learn how to socialize and stuff. I like. You got a couple more? You got an answer there, Tim? Yeah.
Because you're pretty smart.
So you think I'm smart? I've already bamboozled you. Well, I did do that. Yes, ma'am.
what does it like push you to work harder?
Push me to work harder? Yeah. But thank you, though, for calling me smart. And thank you for telling me I work hard. All right. Well, the fact of the matter is, guys, is that you're right. I was bullied growing up. I was absolutely bullied when I was growing up. I was quite a shy kid when I was growing up. When I was your age, back in 7th grade. The story about being pushed up against a locker and stuck in the corner, that was me. I had these big 9th graders, because our middle school was junior high, which was 7th through 9th, and I had these big 9th graders that would pin me up against the locker and ran their knees into my ribs. And that's what happened to me in 7th grade. And although I remember it really, really well, and I remember who did it, at least one of the people that did it, can anyone guess who that person was? Wasn't Mr. Borch. Mr. Borch is a lot younger than I am. It wasn't Mr. Torkelson. Mr. Torkelson's a lot younger than me too. Yeah. I don't think that's true, but it sounded right. No, it was, and you guys probably won't guess this, but it was my favorite cousin's husband. The one that she married was the person that would pin me up. One of the guys that would pin me up and knee me in the ribs. But a couple things on that. I remember it. He doesn't remember it at all. When I bring it up, he's like, I can't believe it. He's disgusted. He's mortified the fact that he bullied me growing up. One of the things that he said, it was you right there, said, and then right, he said, Scott, there's no way I bullied you. You're strong. Well, not in 7th grade. But you know something? He now is an absolutely godly, Christian, incredible guy. He's a wonderful father, a wonderful husband, really just a fabulous guy. But he's still disgusted when he talks about it. And he still has to live with it. I used the experience, and we got a couple people here that said it, to motivate myself, okay, to help me become who I am today. So now, here is my question. Why do bullies bully? All right, let's see here. Right back there. What do you guys?
Probably so they can feel better about themselves.
That's, yep. Yes, ma'am.
Some people just want everything to be a certain way, so if it's different, they like take on it.
So they want to be in control?
Yeah.
Yes. Rough life at home? Yep. Because they want to take their anger out on somebody else? Yep. Yep.
They want to be cool.
They want to be cool? Because they think that bullying is making everybody else like them, right? Yes, ma'am.
Because they've been bullied before in their life, and they're
Yeah. Yes.
Because they're jealous.
That's huge. That's a really good one. Absolutely. I think you guys have all hit a squarely on the head. I think everything that you just said is absolutely true. All those things. Who here thinks that I can say something today to stop bullies from bullying? That I have some magic word to be able to say, hey, guess what? The people that are bullying, you need to stop bullying. Who thinks that I have something magic to say in there? That I can say anything to stop bullying?
Well, you could try.
I don't think I can. I don't think that there's anything I can say to stop bullying. When I talked to, actually I talked to my kids a little bit and gave this presentation to them to practice, so I'm not as, hopefully not boring today. One of the things that one of them brought up and said was, well, but Dad, what about jail? I mean, some of the bullies went up in jail. But the fact of the matter, isn't it true that there's jails out there? Are there people in the jails?
Yeah.
Does that work if people are going into jails? No. So there's really nothing I can say. So really what we need to talk about is we need to talk about surviving bullying. Because honestly, even as an adult now, even as you guys saw the teachers raise their hand. I'm still bullied today. I still get bullied today. And in fact, the more success that I have, it seems like the more bullying happens. That sounds like fun, great. You guys looking forward to adulthood now?
Yes!
I bet I have.
It's still fun to be an adult, come on. All right, so I got a couple examples from my own life and some from some other people's life. All right, so remember how I told you guys that I served as the Princeton Chamber President for 2 years? I was extremely aggressive in getting some initiatives passed, doing some events, getting some things done, and really kind of changing the focus of the chamber. Well, do you guys think that everybody agreed with me?
No.
Come on, they're my ideas. Don't you think they should agree with me? All of them? Right?
No.
Okay. They didn't agree with me. Not everybody agreed with me, which is fine. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I had this person, this local business person who's on the chamber, come into my office and confront me and tell me that I was doing things wrong, that I needed to stop, that I needed to change. How do you guys think that made me feel? Confused? Horrible? Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is, I didn't want to go to the next meeting because now I thought I had all these people on the board. You know, there's 12 people on this board that thought that I was a complete schmuck. Right? Would you guys want to go to a meeting if you had a bunch of people that were like, yeah. I lost confidence in the things we were doing. I was concerned. Now, we're going to talk a little bit later about what happened, okay? So we'll talk a little bit later about what I did from that. Now, I have another example that happened about 5 years ago. Like I told you guys, I've coached youth football now for some time. Now, in this instance, I was helping to coach a practice. I was trying to present some ideas on how to make it more efficient, okay? And when I did that, the other coach got in my face and said, "You're doing it wrong. Don't do it that way. I'm in control." They made me feel inferior, less knowledgeable. So I left that practice, in fact, I left both of those incidents absolutely shaking. Can you guys imagine? Have you guys felt that way before?
Yeah.
How do you think, especially in this case, with another coach doing it, how does that affect everybody involved? Because it doesn't just affect me, does it? It affects the other players on the field. It affects the other coaches. Okay? Do you guys think I should have given in to the bullies? Do you think that I should have done what they wanted me to do? Do you think that I should have just stopped and given up? Okay. But I got another one to kind of explain and talk to you guys a little bit about. I have now these are more client experiences or client stories, okay? I have a client who owns, this was some time ago, that owns a piece of property that had a long driveway over the neighbors. And over that driveway over the neighbors, there developed a dispute or an argument about it. And one of the people, the neighbor, would go through and tear up that driveway, would spin the wheels on that driveway, they would go mudding on that driveway. When they use that driveway, sometimes the neighbor would shine lights in their car to try to distract them. Or when they're driving down the road, they would do that. The neighbor would give them the one-finger salute. You know, all those type of things. We brought this to court for what was known as a harassment restraining order to stop this from happening. What do you guys think happened? You think it made it worse? Yes, sir.
I know, probably like when they were doing that, I got into an accident.
You got in an accident? Okay. Yes, sir.
Somebody probably went to prison.
Well, they didn't go to prison, but what the judge did is the judge specifically went and said, you absolutely cannot do that. And what the judge decided is, despite the fact that this driveway went over the neighbor's property, the judge said that that neighbor could not use that driveway. They could not use their property because of what they were doing to the person that had to use that driveway to get back to their house. So that's a real world example of how these issues, I mean, it's, courts get involved between adults. Courts get involved, I mean, even between kids, courts get involved. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about another story here. This is Allison, okay? Anybody know Allison? Okay, good. Allison works for me, okay? Now, Allison, when she was in high school, which was a while ago, there was this gal there, okay? That was 2 years older than Allison. This gal's name was Nicole. And Nicole was a frequent troublemaker at school. She got into lots of fights and she harassed other students too. Now, this Nicole gal, bottom line, she was crazy. Okay? She came directly out of the zombie apocalypse, all right? Now, Nicole decided to set her sights on Allison because she figured that Allison was someone that she could pick on. So for approximately 3 years, it wasn't just 1 year, it wasn't just 2 years, it was 3 years, this Nicole chick would pick on her. She would shove Allison in her locker. She would walk into classes, she would turn around, she would stare at Allison just to make her feel comfortable. She would go to Allison's work and just walk around and not buy anything. Allison worked at a gas station. She would sit at the gas pumps and just stare at Allison. She would throw food at her, she would call her names, she would, I mean, this sounds horrible, doesn't it, guys? This is just part of it. Okay? And the fact of the matter is, it came to a final draw with this Nicole gal took a bunch of stuff, and it was onion rings and pop, and threw it through the moonroof in Allison's car, right onto her, right inside her car. At that point, what do you think happened? What did they do? Who said whatever? Sort of. They brought a, he said sewer. They brought a lawsuit. Okay, they brought what's called a harassment restraining order to stop this girl from harassing Allison. Now, at the hearing, the judge completely scolded this Nicole gal. She took, because this, I guess, what Allison told me, this was before I knew Allison, this other gal is sitting there going, Judge, I'm not doing any of this. I'm not, no way in heck. She's horrible. And Allison's over here going, oh. You know, you can really tell the difference between the two of them. And the judge just lit this gal up. And what she did, or what the judge did, excuse me, the judge said that this Nicole girl could no longer talk to Allison. Mind you, they were in the same high school. Couldn't go to Allison's house. Couldn't go to Allison's place of employment. Couldn't be within 500 feet of Allison. She had to park her car when she drove to school at the sheriff's office and walk from the sheriff's office to school instead of parking in the high school parking lot because of what she did. Now, 25 years later, Allison sees this Nicole gal every time she goes to the doctor because that's where this gal works. And she smiles and she's very sweet, and you know this Nicole gal is just burning up inside. A bully that's just, oh. Allison won there, didn't she? Yeah, she stopped it, yes sir.
I was just saying, kill him with kindness.
Kill him with kindness, exactly, exactly, exactly. Now, unfortunately, I mean, the fact of the matter is, I think you guys all agree with this, is that when the bullying happens, it's not the person that's being bullied's fault. And it's not their problem. It's really the bully's problem, right? They're taking their problem out on somebody else. And especially with Allison. That gal obviously was bullied when she was a kid. She was jealous of Allison. Who knows? There's all sorts of reasons that she was bullying Allison. But it's up to us to decide how we are going to react and how we're going to move forward. You know, you get bullied, and at that time that you're being bullied, it's difficult to decide, hey, I'm gonna recover, I'm gonna make it out of this. Because when you're getting pushed up against the lockers, right, it's hard. It's hard to deal with it at that time. All you're thinking is making it through to your next class, right? When you're being yelled at, when you're getting food thrown at you, when things are happening, you just want to make it out of that situation, that incident. But the fact of the matter is that you yourself can decide what you want to do and where you want to go from that moment, because that moment is only temporary. Do you guys remember my 7th grade story about me being pushed up against the lockers?
Yeah.
Okay. How did I respond to that experience, or how do you think I responded to that experience? Go ahead. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of said it earlier, but you used that and took it and pushed yourself harder so that you could be successful
Okay.
and become a better person.
Probably at first, when you were bullied, like you ignored it, like tried to stay away from it, and then like as you got older, you realized like, what it was doing to you and everything, and then that's how you became.
So Charles said you have some frogs running around. I think he swallowed one.
This is the room for it.
You guys are both right. The fact of the matter is, I didn't start football until 8th grade. I didn't start working out until 8th grade. I didn't start lifting weights until 8th grade. And part of it was response of what happens to be there. You know, I was no longer a target. When I started working out, when I told you that this individual, this guy, said, there's no way, Scott, that I can pick on you because you're strong. Well, yeah, I didn't become strong until after 8th grade when I started working out, because I reacted to that situation. And I'll tell you right now, through high school, I wasn't picked on until after I graduated and became an adult. But the fact of the matter is without that happening, I probably wouldn't have started football. I wouldn't have started working out. I got offers to go play college football. And because I got offers to go play college football, I wouldn't play college football. I met my wife there, my future wife at that point. I decided I fell in love with law, went to law school, became an attorney. And to be honest with you, if you guys have heard of the butterfly theory, right? The butterfly flaps its wings and things happen after that? No?
Never heard
You
of
guys
it.
don't talk about that stuff? What do you guys learn here in science?
We learned
Well,
about.
the fact of the matter is, it's
learned
kind of
about-
that cause and effect. And it's how you react. It's how you react to those things that can cause you guys to do something. Okay? You can either go negatively or positively from it. So without that experience in 7th grade, I don't think I'd be standing here right now with the bottom line. So let's turn to those other experiences. All right, remember when I talked about the chamber? And this gal, or this person that came in and yelled at me? This other business person? Okay. Tell me, how did I react to this? Anybody tell me how I reacted to this?
Mad.
What's that?
You didn't want to be there anymore?
I didn't want to be there anymore, but how did I react? Did I?
You probably went to the meeting and
Okay.
showed your ideas and was proud of your ideas?
I went to the meeting? What I did do is I did go to the meeting. I went to the meeting and I asked, and I brought it up, and I asked the people there, I said, this is what happened. Is there an issue? Is there something I have to be concerned about? Are we all on board? You know what I found out? Is that was only one person that had an issue, and everybody else was on board with what we were doing. In fact, not only the board was on board, but the members of the Chamber of Commerce were on board. They were excited about the different changes. They were excited about what was going on. So the fact that I didn't want to go to that meeting, it turned out really well. Yes, sir?
So the only person who didn't want it was the person who yelled at you?
Exactly. Exactly. Which they made me think that it was everybody. I mean, isn't that what a bully does? Usually think that everybody else is against you, when a lot of times it's just that one person that's against you. Okay, so how about the football confrontation? What do you think happened here? Yes, sir. Okay. He said I did it my own way because I was the coach. Anybody else have any answers? This one was, I think, interesting. This time, after this happened, I was extremely humiliated. Every time I went to practice, I felt like I didn't belong. So I quit going. The bottom line is I quit going. I didn't want to be there anymore. I quit. I let the goalie win that time. I didn't want to do it anymore. And that was the negative side of what happened there. And how many of you guys have had that feeling where you're just like, you know something? That's it, I'm done. You guys have had that before, right? And the bottom line is when you guys are goalie, when something like that happens, like when that coach approached me, it sucks. I mean, it really does. But it wasn't my problem. It was the bully's issue that did it. But how much time and energy does it take you guys to pick yourself up to not only make it through that instance, but to make something positive from it, or decide how you want to go forward? There's a lot of time that's wasted, isn't it? Because you got to deal with that. And that's what sucks. It really is, at the end of the day, what you do with it from 1, 5, 20 years from now, as opposed to right now. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about Allison here. Let's go back to her. Now, what do you guys think Allison did with her experience? She got that harassment restraining order, so she stopped the girl from harassing her. She smiles at the girl every time she goes to the doctor. But what else happened? She was happy? She was. She wanted to make sure that no one else experienced that. So what Allison did is she became a very successful paralegal. She worked at the Knabec County, what's that? Paralegal is someone that helps an attorney. Okay? They're not an attorney, but they're someone that helps an attorney. And she worked at the Knabec County Prosecutor's Office. The prosecutors put criminals in jail. She worked at a large firm to help families through divorce and child custody issues. She worked for legal aid, which helps people in poverty in abuse situations. She is presently a qualified mediator. She's spoken on the national. She's spoken to people all across the nation. And she really used that incident to motivate her. She didn't allow that girl to get better than her. She went out and she's done some amazing things because of what happened. Again, that changed her life. Now, I want to talk to you about, I don't know if you guys have heard about this. There's this gal named Dee Dee Knudsen. She is the youngest of 5 siblings. She was a devoted volleyball player. She was an African American who was adopted by a Caucasian family about 11 years ago. Recently, Dee Dee received some Snapchats from this gal and some of this gal's friends, this other gal's friends, that didn't like Dee Dee very much. Not at all. And the 2 kids that Dee Dee was, they were sending her Snapchats. I don't do Snapchats, but I'm assuming you guys do, right? No. Some of you? Okay. Well, anyway, when they were Snapchatting and sending these things to Dee Dee, they were cursing at her. They were repeatedly referring to her in sexual and racial slurs. What do you think happened? Yes, sir. Court? Well, nope. No court this time. Yes, sir. Nope, she did not. But that's something that could have happened. I want you guys to watch something.
Hello. This is not scripted, so I'm going to make mistakes. It's very emotional. We have a very beautiful African American daughter that we were very fortunate enough to adopt 11 years ago, and we've dealt with a little bit of racism, you know, stares, things like that. That when she calls us mom or dad, but she's never noticed. She didn't notice, and so we just blew it off because it was directed towards us. But this past New Year's Eve, my daughter had a friend over. They were having fun. They were doing selfies and sending them out to their friends on Snapchat and things like that. Well, this girl that does not like my daughter was at a friend's house, apparently a couple of twins that were freshmen from Prior Lake. And these twins decided to send my daughter some Snapchats. Well, with Snapchat, you hold the button down. When you receive it, you listen to it or view it, and then it disappears. Well, after the 3rd video, my daughter's friend, who's Caucasian, came and told my wife and I that these things were happening and what the content of it was. Not only was it bullying, but it was also racism. And so when they got the 4th message from these kids, the 4th one, not the first one, the 4th one, my wife and I decided to take out my phone and videotape it as it was happening on the phone. And I want to show this to you really quick.
Covering them. Aaron, can I see your toenails?
Wait, you're a slut.
You're such a slut.
Nigger. You
You's a fat ass bitch. Yes, you are.
So I apologize. You probably couldn't see it very well, but as you can imagine, my wife and I were extremely shocked. I found out who these kids were. I attempted to call the twins' parents, and so I reached out to the police because a week and a half ago, some of our very good friends, their son committed suicide at the age of 13 because of bullying, and at that point it just dawned on me, I can't have this hanging over us and my daughter thinking the worst and something could happen. I got the cell phone of the father, and when I got the cell phone of the father, I finally got a hold of this individual. I'm not going to call him a gentleman because he's far from it. And I talked to him, and he told me he didn't understand what was wrong with the video because, one, their kids didn't even know my daughter. And I was like, well, that makes it even double bad. You don't even know my daughter. He told me I was crazy, that that's what he did when he was a kid, and that him and his family make jokes at the house using this word all the time. So what was the big deal? And so I promptly get this email, or I'm sorry, text, or geez, sorry, I'm upset. This voicemail back from him, and this is what it said.
Yeah, Brad. Times have turned, huh? I guess you're a nigger lover. Call me back.
So I called him back and I said, well, yeah, that's a correct statement. I am an lover because I have a beautiful African-American daughter who I love more than life itself and would do anything for her. And said a few more choice words to him and hung up on him again. He called back numerous times and he left one other voice message. Let you hear this one.
Hey, Brad, you're a fag. Grow up. Touch base with your kids. And, you're a loser.
And so I just want him to own it. And his twins that go to high school as a freshman, they could own it too. Thank you. I just had to get this off my chest. I just don't know what to do. Other than I love my daughter and I don't want her to end up committing suicide because of frickin' morons like this. Sorry. Thanks. Bye.
What do you guys think about that?
Well, honestly, I think it's bad though because he's the guy who said the voicemail was telling his kid to grow up. Like the dad with the African-American daughter. When the guy really saying it, he should grow up because like he's a grown man, I guess, and they don't. You shouldn't say that.
Yes, sir.
Well, the problem was, he was like supporting what his son was saying. He was supporting the harassment.
Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yes. We're going to talk about that in a second. Good question.
It was the thing about the growing up thing. He's telling him to grow up when he calls him a loser. Like, you're
grow up.
like, you sound like you're the dad.
And that's just it, is that I've got to keep going. So, there's no question about it, is that people grow up in an environment like that, and it's hard to overcome that environment. But I want to talk, I just want to finish up, we only got a couple minutes here left. So that was posted 2 weeks ago. Anybody have a clue how many views there's been on there in 2 weeks? 7.5 million views. 7.5 million views of that video, which is absolutely amazing. Now, the dad of the kids that were Snapchatting, that were sending these bad messages to that gal, he was fired from his job.
The next day.
The next day, he was fired from his job. Well, here's the deal now. Think about this. Is not only did it affect, not only did those Snapchats, their attempt to get back, for whatever reason, back at that gal, that girl, it cost the dad his job. You know that those kids in school there are not doing well. I mean, you guys can imagine that if somebody did that here, I cannot imagine any way that they continue to stay in that community because of what they decided to do, and they decided to become bullies. That there is, I think, really why not to bully. And And in that case, that gal won, right? She won. They took a negative thing, they made it into a positive thing in that they're starting forums on race, they're starting forums on bullying, and they're doing that type of thing. And like I said, the other family, I'm pretty sure, is no longer going to be able to be where they're at. Well, yes, sir.
It's a good example of how you need to learn, because if you don't learn, well, first of all, you will pass on stuff to your kids. That father passed on his racism, his bullying to his kids, and what were his kids then doing? Bullying and being racist, and just, you know, they were learning from the dad. And that's what you need to realize is, even if your parents are kind of that way, you don't have to be. You can stop it. You can do something different. And, you know, it needs to stop somewhere. So it needs to start with you and us.
Well, you guys, yes, ma'am.
Like back to the locker thing, how do you prevent it? Because like when that happens, normally, like you want to fight back, but then you're like scared that you're gonna lose again, like you might lose and it might get worse.
When I was slammed into the lockers, what I did is I went to the principal. To be honest with you, I went to the principal and told the principal what was happening. That did stop that from happening when I did it. But it's hard. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's hard. When I say that, it's a lot easier for me to say that than to do it. I think ignoring them as much as you possibly can, trying to stay out of that situation is important. Making sure that you continue to stay positive, you know, those type of things. And if it continues to happen, remember how I talked about the harassment restraining order? If they are continuing to slam you in the locker, you're entitled to that. I'm going to tell you right now, there's absolutely nobody that has the right to touch you. There's nobody that has the right to slam you in the locker. I don't care the reason. Okay? So if they continue to do it, that's something that I would suggest. So
let's
rotate.
Yep, let's thank